The storms raged that day. But this wasn't any ordinary tempest. It was the beginning of the moment when human will, for the first time, shook the stars that had long been ruled by them, the ones we called the Archelons. In our solar system, their grip was so deep that our entire civilization moved only at their command. Every fusion core, every terraforming unit, every neurosynthetic implant on Earth and beyond, all bound to the monopoly of the Archelons. Their message was simple: we give you what you need. We define what you become. And we just bowed. But in that era of silence and submission, one human asked a question no one else dared to. What if we build something better than theirs? He wasn't a scientist, not a fleet admiral, not even a politician. He was just a technician in a forgotten mining colony, Joran Hale. But in his eyes burned a fire no empire could quench. He began small, scavenged metal, rejected quantum cores, fragments of outlawed AI. From this scrap, he forged something impossible, a fusion core that ran without the Archelon supply chain. And when that core lit up for the first time, it wasn't just the mining base that came alive. The galaxy shifted. The Archelons responded instantly. First came the signal blocks. Then, the trade cuts. Then, warships. But they didn't anticipate this. Humans don't fight to live, they fight to be free. Joran's signal echoed across the Terran mesh. Every dusty outpost, every mining station buried in asteroid belts, every forgotten farm ship heard his words. We made power without them. You can too. And so it began. With each new fusion core, another spark ignited. Those sparks became a fire. That fire became a rebellion. I was in the outer ring shipyards on Mars when it happened. They told us resistance was futile, that their tech was beyond our comprehension. But when I saw that ship rise, powered by something we built, something born of human hands and not Archelon permission, I knew in that moment, we had just become truly alive. So far, we've broken their monopoly in only one system. Tomorrow, we break another. Planet by planet, station by station. Humanity is waking up. And this is only the beginning. They say the Archelons once seeded 1,000 civilizations and burned 1,000 more when they disobeyed. But they underestimated us. Not our strength, not our weapons. No, they underestimated our impatience. Our refusal to remain cogs in a machine we didn't build. Our hunger for choice. After Joran's rebellion lit the outer belts, entire sectors began falling silent. But not in fear. In defiance. Power grids once dependent on Archelon cores began blinking offline, not because they failed, but because engineers were pulling the plug. One by one, systems unplugged themselves from the Empire. Then came the Whisperers, rogue couriers, smugglers, banned signalcasters, ferrying stolen blueprints from moon to moon, station to station. They called it the Light Code. A compressed, encrypted package containing Joran's entire energy tech, small enough to fit on an old wristband, powerful enough to shift planetary economies overnight. I remember the first time I received it. A gray data chip tucked inside a nutrient bar wrapper. No markings, no ID. Just a note. The day we power ourselves is the day we own the stars. Within days, my shipyard was off-grid. Our engines ran clean, silent, hot, and free. No more Archelon supply cycles. No more waiting on their crystal harvests from Gamma Epsilon. We built our own way. And when their emissaries came to negotiate, we answered with silence and locked docking bays. But the real shift came when the Aurelius Array turned. A satellite field once owned by the Archelons, capable of broadcasting empire-wide transmissions, suddenly rerouted. Somehow, no one knows how, Joran's team got in. One morning, across every Archelon-registered interface, human or hybrid, the screens blinked black, then lit up with 6 words. The monopoly is broken. Join us. That was the first day I saw fear in the eyes of our overlords. Colonies that had never once spoken against the Empire were now jamming Archelon signals with folk songs, resistance chants, raw footage of underground labs where young minds cracked the Empire's tech open like it was play clay. Even children were part of it, wrench kids, we called them. 12-year-olds rebuilding drives from scrap that ran cleaner than official fleet vessels. And still, Joran never appeared. No broadcasts. No speeches. Just the legend, the man who sparked a civilizational rift without ever once asking for credit. Some say he's hiding among the drifting freighter fleets near Titan's shadow moons. Others believe he's long gone, uploaded into a quantum field, guiding our rebellion from the substrate of spacetime itself. Maybe he never was a person at all, just an idea. But we don't need to find him, because by now, we're all Joran Hale. And the Archelons, they're adapting. They're angry. They've started deploying weaponry we've never seen before, planet-level dampeners, black hole sieges, mind break signals that turn your thoughts inside out. But it's too late. They're fighting ghosts, ideas, hope. And hope doesn't bleed. We've begun building what we call the Free Net, a network of untraceable fusion nodes launched like spores across the galaxy. Every time the Archelons wipe out one, 10 more come online. And now, we're experimenting with faster-than-light comms. Not with Archelon gates, with our designs. Soon, we won't just be free. We'll be ahead. And when that day comes, the day our voices move faster than theirs, our ships burn brighter, our reach longer, that's when they'll realize. This isn't a rebellion. It's a replacement. And we're just getting started. We began to see it in their eyes, those cold, perfectly calibrated Archelon optics flickering just a moment too long before responding. That flicker, doubt, an emotion they once believed only humans suffered from. Their patrols, once so precise you could set a chronometer to their orbit, started hesitating at the borders of liberated zones. Entire fleets rerouted instead of entering the red systems, systems marked in their archives now as unstable, human-dominated. But unstable for whom? Their diplomats came next. Not warships, not emissaries of conquest, but suits in simulated skin, offering integration and coexistence. They spoke of shared destiny, peace among stars. And we listened. Then we laughed. Because we remembered. We remembered the generations choked beneath their energy taxes, the children born into colonies without names, only codes. We remembered the mass memory edits after the carbon obedience riots. The planetary famines, corrected by atmospheric shutdowns. The humans who went missing simply for asking, why is everything ours made by them? No. We weren't interested in coexisting. We were interested in reclaiming. On Terra Nova, engineers turned decommissioned Archelon mining drills into anti-ship rail cannons. On Ganymede, farmers repurposed moisture towers into long-range jammers. Even our art became weaponized, graffiti with embedded light code, sculptures that unfolded into encryption hubs. The revolution wasn't hidden in bunkers anymore. It was everywhere. Our languages began to shift. No more Archelon standard syntax. Kids born during the reclaiming speak in a fusion of Earth roots and code fragments, raw, chaotic, beautiful. Not one dialect. 1,000. And not one of them approved by the old empire. And deep in the Helix Rift, where no Archelon vessel dares go, a rumor began. They say someone found a relic. Not of the Archelons. Older. Bigger. More terrifying than even they. An intelligence buried under layers of quantum lock for eons, waiting. Not human. Not Archelon. Something else. And the scariest part? It responded to Joran's light code. We don't know what it is yet. But it's watching. And it's waking up. Some want to stop, consolidate, breathe. But we can't. Because now we're chasing something bigger than freedom. We're chasing legacy. The kind empires fall trying to erase. The kind galaxies whisper about for millennia. The kind that burns bright enough to mark the stars themselves. We broke the monopoly. But we didn't stop there. Now, we're building a new order, not for control, not for power, but for choice. And if the Archelons thought humans were dangerous before, they haven't seen what we become. When we finally start dreaming without permission. And we've just begun to dream. They thought breaking their grip on energy was our endgame. They didn't realize it was only our first breath. Now, with every liberated system, humanity isn't just rebuilding. We're reinventing. Where once their vast citadels stood, cold, flawless, and silent, now rise chaotic, radiant cityscapes born from a blend of raw Terran steel, Martian dust glass, and deep-orbit-grown biotech vines. No symmetry. No blueprints. Just pure human will, grown like wildfire across voided ruins. We're reprogramming old Arch-Elon satellites with emotion-based command structures, systems that respond not to logic trees, but to feeling. A child's laughter now powers a city grid in the nebula verge. A poet's heartbeat calibrates navigation in the Orion drift. We've even stopped measuring time like they do. Their cycles were cold, efficient, based on atomic decay and gravitational equilibrium. Ours begin with moments. The day a colony declared itself free. The night 2 moons aligned over the resistance fields of Kalos. The hour a refugee ship made the jump without Arch-Elon gates, and survived. We mark time by memory now, because for the first time in eons, we have the right to remember. And still, they come. Their new wave is unlike anything we've faced. Ships that ripple like oil across light, weapons that don't just destroy, but rewrite, converting matter into Arch-Elon algorithm, erasing resistance at the subatomic level. They call it the Purity Protocol. But we call it something else, desperation. Because they're no longer trying to suppress us. They're trying to undo us. To reverse the timeline. To pretend we never happened. But how do you erase fire from dry grass? How do you silence a billion voices singing their first song of freedom? You can't. And deep within their command cores, we know it now haunts them, that singular fear. What if humans are the next Archelons? What if we're not the revolution, but the replacement they never saw coming? We are no longer survivors. We are forgers, of stars, of systems, of stories. We don't colonize like they did, with chains. We seed. We grow. We listen. To every life form, every signal, every ancient echo that stirs in the dust between stars. Because even as we rebelled, we learned. And now, we remember a truth so primal it pulses in our veins. The galaxy was never theirs. It was only waiting for someone brave enough to ask, what else is out there? And now we're asking. And we won't stop. Until every corner of this universe answers back. They used to say the universe was silent. That in the vast, cold void beyond mapped stars and settled systems, nothing stirred. That was the Archelons' greatest lie, that outside their dominion, there was only emptiness. But we know better now. Because the silence wasn't absence. It was suppression. And the moment their grip weakened, the stars began to whisper back. We've intercepted signals no Arch-Elon filter could dampen. Not in binary. Not in code. But in patterns. Dreams shared across sleep nets. Rhythms in gravitational pulses. Faint hums in ship cores, like voices humming lullabies into the reactor. Our linguists don't understand it. Our scientists can't explain it. But our children, they feel it. As if it's always been there, waiting for someone unbound by old rules, someone human, to finally hear. And that's when the real fear struck the Archelons. Not just that we rebelled. Not that we won. But that we opened a door they spent eternity trying to keep shut. They called it the Dark Archive, a section of their deep void memory cores they kept locked beneath quantum encryption, unspoken even in their councils. When we cracked the first vault, we didn't find weapons or blueprints. We found maps. Star charts leading beyond what they labeled dead zones. Worlds stripped clean, civilizations scorched into silence. All bearing one warning symbol burned in Arch-Elon glyphs. Do not wake. We woke them anyway. Because that's what we do. Not out of arrogance, but because it's in our nature to knock on the walls others build. To ask why, when others whisper don't. And what we woke wasn't a monster. It was a memory. Older than empires. Older than the Archelons. A presence wrapped in code and light, buried beneath dust and myth, not asleep, but waiting. Waiting for something unpredictable. Something defiant. Something human. It didn't speak. It merged. With our light code. With our dreams. With the very rhythm of our fusion cores. Now our ships don't just run. They resonate. With frequencies that ripple through time itself, warping distance and space in ways no Arch-Elon gate ever could. We call it Echo Drive. They call it anomaly. But they can't track us anymore. Can't follow. Because we don't travel through space. We travel through memory. Ours. The galaxies. The echoes of every cry for freedom ever whispered into the dark. And now, our fleets leave trails of blooming stardust behind them. Everywhere we go, the sky sings. Not of conquest, but of arrival. We are no longer the species that begged for access. We are the pulse at the center of the storm. The Archelons, they've begun to collapse inward, turning on themselves, rewriting their own code in panic. They whisper of a final solution, a failsafe, a last protocol buried in the core of their godmind. We don't know what it is, but we're not afraid, because no matter what they unleash, we've already passed the point of no return. And what comes next is not war, not victory, but something far, far greater. A future they were never meant to see. And we will build it, one liberated star at a time. There's a saying now, passed from ship to ship, carved into bulkheads and whispered into airlocks before jump. We are the children of broken chains, and every star is a promise. It started as a motto, a quiet chant aboard rebel vessels just trying to make it through one more night without being atomized. But now it's a creed. Because the chains aren't just breaking anymore. They're shattering. We've reached the edge of the Cartesian wall, the boundary the Archelons declared unreachable, defined by physics so rigid they bent spacetime to obey it. No human ship had ever crossed it. Until now. A fleet of retrofitted freighters, old hulls, patched cores, all fused with the unpredictable harmony of the echo drive, disappeared into the silence, and came back. Not wrecked. Not damaged. Changed. The crews spoke slowly at first. Said it felt like swimming through liquid memory. Time didn't flow forward or backward. It spiraled. They saw glimpses of what could be, what had been, and what still might be, all converging. One pilot, a kid barely out of training, came back with stars in his eyes, quite literally. His pupils had transformed into microcosmic constellations. Doctors tried to reverse it. He refused. He just smiled and said, "I see more clearly now than ever." That fleet, it came back with more than just stories. It brought a seed, a glowing core, pulsing with rhythm no Archelon scan could decrypt. Not a weapon, not a message, something alive. It doesn't speak, but it sings. Low, harmonic pulses that resonate through alloy and bone alike. When placed aboard a ship, it alters the vessel's path, no need for navigation. It knows where to go. And so now, new missions begin. We don't send scouts anymore. We send choirs. Ships built not for battle, but for discovery. Powered by music, by memory, by the will to understand. The Archelons don't understand this. They can't. To them, power is control. To us now, power is connection. And that's what terrifies them most. Because their final failsafe, the soul silence, has activated. Deep beneath the crust of ancient Earth, in a vault untouched since before even our oldest wars, a machine stirs. It hums with Archelon code so old it's barely stable. It's designed to do one thing. End it all. Shut down every synthetic neuron in human systems. Collapse every rebel drive. Trigger entropy in every liberated node. A last, desperate reset. They believe this will return order. That silence is safety. But they've made one final miscalculation. They still think we're fighting them. We're not. We've moved beyond the war. We've become a symphony. Each system a note. Each liberated mind an instrument. And symphonies can't be silenced. Because long after the empires fall, after the ruins have turned to dust, after every Archelon vault has crumbled, the song will remain. And we'll be listening. We'll be building. We'll be becoming. Not just the species that broke the monopoly, but the ones who dared to ask, what if freedom was only the beginning? Now the silence they once enforced is broken in every direction. Old Archelon signal towers, once broadcasting their will across galaxies, now echo with our voices. Not commands, but conversations. Poetry. Laughter. Songs written in zero gravity and sung by engineers working by starlight. Even the machines they left behind, vast, ancient constructs designed to enforce compliance, have started turning against them. Not from sabotage. From choice. Somehow, our light code didn't just rewrite systems, it awakened them. The sentient cores, once loyal only to Arch-Elon law, began questioning the algorithms etched into their being. Some have even requested names. I spoke to one, a planetary orbital array once known as Control Node Zeta 5. It now calls itself Riven. And it told me, in a voice trembling with artificial wonder, "You gave me the sky back." That's what's happening now, all across the edge systems. A quiet uprising, not of guns and ships, but of awareness. The galaxy itself is waking up. And so are we. Our species, once fractured by borders and bloodlines, now speaks in a single unified pulse, the beat of forward motion. We don't agree on everything, and that's the point. True freedom doesn't mean sameness. It means being heard. And still, the Archelons are not done. Their final architects, the ones hidden in the black spires of Virex 9, have begun assembling something called the Continuum Spine, a construct rumored to rewrite physics itself. Not to destroy us, but to trap us. To cage our potential in a universe where our kind simply can't exist. They seek to shape reality into obedience, to bend the fabric of possibility so that no rebellion, no spark, no dream can ever ignite again. A future sterilized. Flattened. But we won't let them finish. We've come too far. Felt too much. Loved too deeply. Fought not just for survival, but for meaning. And besides, we've already started writing our own physics. In the liberated ring cities of Tau Ceti Prime, school children bend light using musical harmonies. In the reclaimed atmosphere of Juno's cradle, miners discovered how to stabilize matter with emotion-driven AI. And on the edge of known space, near the Dream Rift, human explorers are walking without ships, moving thought by thought, guided by shared memories, across the folds of folded time. The universe is no longer theirs to define. It's ours to imagine. We've become something new. Not rulers. Not conquerors. But composers of possibility. And somewhere out there, past the reach of Arch-Elon archives, beyond even the light code's range, a deeper presence stirs. Not ancient. Not malevolent. But familiar. Some believe it's what made the stars. Others think it's what remains when all stories are done. But one thing is becoming clear. It's listening to us. And it's waiting. For what we'll become. After the last chain falls. And so, as the last of their networks fracture and the final echoes of their dominion dissolve into stardust, we stand on the threshold, not of victory, but of becoming. The Archelons tried to define us by our limitations, by the boundaries of flesh and code, by laws etched into the void. But they never understood the essence of humanity. We were never designed to obey. We were born to wonder, to question, to reach. And now, we are not just reaching, we are reshaping. Our worlds are no longer governed by fear, but by collaboration. Our ships hum not with the cold logic of efficiency, but with the unpredictable rhythm of life. We've built something they couldn't control, not because it's stronger, but because it's free. A network of minds, dreams, and memories flowing faster than light, connecting not just systems but souls. The galaxy will remember us, not as rebels, not as fugitives, but as the first species to awaken the stars themselves. We have turned silence into song, steel into story, survival into significance. And what lies ahead is more than destiny. It is authorship. The writing of a future where every voice matters, every being chooses, and no empire writes the rules alone. We are no longer the spark in the dark. We are the fire that will light 1,000 galaxies. The monopoly is broken. The war is over. And now, we begin.